A week ago today, Notre Dame held its first spring football practice, and the media, although was only able to shoot video of the first 5 periods, they did get to see the entire practice. So Tyler Horka and Jack Sobel of Blue and Gold put together their depth chart observations. Now, this is not an official depth chart that these guys posted by any means, but it's kind of what they viewed in terms of first, second team and all that. So we got Tyler Horka. We're going to break this all down. So quarterback, and guys, we're going to go rapid fire. We got only so much time and so many different positions to talk about. It still is very much a quarterback battle. He's got Riley Leonard or Steve Angeli. And then really you can put or down the line here. Jack didn't put too many, and this was Jack's story here. He didn't put too many of these ors, but really the quarterback battle, it's pretty wide open. But we do anticipate Riley Leonard being QB1.
Yeah, a lot of reps for all of these guys in the practice that we saw, and it mirrored what we've seen in prior quarterback competitions as well. Steve Angeli got some first-team reps, which is the same as Tyler Buckner a year before that, and when Drew Pine was battling with some of these guys as well, Drew Pine would get first-team reps. And then I really liked what I saw from CJ Carr, too. I thought he got just as many reps as Kenny Minchey, and honestly maybe made some more memorable throws than Minchey did, just from like pure arm talent type of perspective. So 1 through 4, there's a lot to like with all of those guys, and they all have different games too. So I think they all bring a lot to the table.
Yeah, moving to running back again. I think Jeremiah Love's got to be like an or with Price there. Aeneas and Keegan probably like an or, just in terms of it's too tight. I mean, when Notre Dame releases its depth chart during the football season, there's ors across the things. It's like, oh, we're not really, these guys split, so many snaps. But yeah, running back. What'd you guys see from that position last Thursday?
Same thing with the quarterbacks. You love 1 through 5 here, but unlike the quarterbacks, you're probably going to see a little bit of all of these guys once things get going in the fall, because you can do that at this position, unlike with the quarterbacks. So yeah, there's a clear top 2. Love, Price. They love Payne for the short yardage stuff, and then those other 2 guys, those 2 freshmen, are just trying to fight for reps and see if they can get on the field in any capacity.
Yeah, you guys can see what Jack wrote. Said Love was the first on the field at his position at the start of every session, so that's definitely notable. We got boundary receiver Jaden Thomas leading that group, field receiver Chris Mitchell, and then slot Jaden Greathouse with Jordan Faison limited due to lacrosse obligations. This is about what we would expect, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you the standouts from each of those groups. I liked Jaden Thomas the best at boundary. If you remember that Sun Bowl, that first drive where they just targeted him all the way down the field, he ends up scoring a touchdown. It looked like that day. Chris Mitchell brings something that the rest of these guys just can't. He's not the biggest guy, the tallest guy, but just in terms of athleticism and speed down the field, making plays downfield, I liked his game. And then Jaden Harrison, I think, was the most impressive for me at slot. The dude was quick. He was fast. When you think of slot receivers, you think of a lot of targets, and you just want to get the ball in that guy's hands. You couldn't do that with Greathouse last year because he was injured so much. But in this first practice, Harrison did look like that guy, so I was impressed.
Yeah, I think it's a good receiver, unproven. Of course, Bo Collins will get here. Well, he's already at Notre Dame, but he'll be able to practice in the fall. Because he's still enrolled at Clemson. Tight end, what'd you see from these guys with Evans and Bauman out?
Yeah, and Raridan didn't participate a whole lot either, which has kind of been the story of his career. So it was kind of the Cooper Flanagan show. And I think that guy, if he stays healthy, has an opportunity to take a step. We saw him make a lot of really good plays last fall, especially connecting with Steve Angeli. So he's got a future here. There's some names to sift through when everyone's healthy, but I liked what I saw from Cooper Flanagan the other day.
Okay, let's go to the tackles. Just the offensive line. This is the Sun Bowl, right? I mean, you got left tackle Charles Jagasaw, left guard Coogan, center Craig, right guard Shrouth, and right tackle Baker. That was my prediction. I think a week or 2 ago, my live show with Tim. I was like, I think it's gonna be the Sun Bowl offensive line. We'll have to see though.
Yeah, when Spindler gets healthy, then he's obviously going to battle for playing time with Shrouth, and I think he's on a faster track. Like I do think we will see Rocco Spindler practice a good deal in this spring slate. But yeah, Craig's your center. Jagasaw, they're grooming him to be a full-time starter at tackle. Baker is a graduate senior, so you expect him to win that other spot. And Coogan started pretty much every single game
Yeah.
last year, or maybe it was at the end when everyone started getting injured along the offensive line at the end of last season. Things got kind of confusing, but I do
Yeah.
believe Coogan was a starter all the way through. So you expect to see that in 2024 as well.
Yep, definitely offensive line is an interesting one to watch. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, Viper defensive end, Jordan Botelho. That's not a surprise with him being one of the few players from that 2020 class still here. Remember, that was Michael Mayer's class. So that
Yeah.
was quite a while ago. Nose tackle, Howard Cross. Of course, you have Riley Mills, playing DT. And then field end, RJ Oben replacing JJB.
Yeah, those guys were the standouts, the four that you see across there. You knew that Cross and Mills were going to be the starters on the interior. You're just looking at depth, who's going to be their backups. Jason Anye was a backup all year last year. He's going to keep that spot. Donovan Heinisch honestly had a quietly really good season in 2023, so I think he's going to be a guy you see a lot. The Gabriel Rubio situation is interesting. When he comes back, is he going to be in in the fold, or is Donovan Heinisch kind of taken over? Sean Sevillano Jr., has he come in and kind of gotten the third team spot? So some interesting stuff going on here, but at the top, it's all the guys you expect: Botelho, Cross, Mills, and then RJ Oben is going to be
Yeah.
the Javante Jean Baptiste.
Yeah.
He really fits that mold.
Yeah. Dude, when I saw senior next to Heinisch names, I was like, "There's no way it's already phone." He's a junior, Tyler. We're gonna have to update that after we get done
Oopsies.
recording. Yeah, I was about to say, "There's no way time has flown that fast," but just
But
honest on
sometimes you believe it with some of these kids. You're like, holy cow, he is a senior, but not him. Yeah, he's a junior.
yeah. Will linebacker Jack Kaiser, with Zinter there. Love Preston Zinter, by the way. Mike linebacker, you got Drake Bowen, Kingston, Jalen Sneed, and Jaden Osbury at the rover position. That seems to be a relic at this point. But yeah, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts about the linebackers?
Yeah, with that being the case, with Rover being a relic, you're going to see Sneed a lot at will. And if it's him and Kaiser on the field at the same time, Kaiser can play Mike linebacker. I think, yeah, you could read it right there. Don't get carried away by pigeonholing players into these specific spots, because they can kind of move all over. Like Drake Bowen was playing Mike, but he could play Will. Jalen Sneed's probably not going to play any Mike, but he could play Rover and Will. So these guys move all over. It's really just about the personnel that Max Bola wants on the field. But I will make the note that it was obviously an install day, Notre Dame installing its base 4-3 defense, which I know they play a lot of nickel, the
All right.
4-2-5, but in theory, this is a 4-3 defense. And when that was the case, you had Drake Bowen lining up in the middle as the starter at Mike. You had Jack Kaiser as the starter at Will, and then you had Jalen Sneed in that rover position. So if Notre Dame ever is in 4-3 this fall, you're looking at those three guys, which I thought was interesting, because Drake Bowen, true sophomore, starting at Mike linebacker. That's pretty awesome for that kid.
Yeah, and then a player that he's competing with is Kingston, who's of course a freshman, and
Yeah,
I thought
we
both
saw
in
a
the
lot of him on Thursday too. He
yeah,
was
in the
good.
clips that I edited from that you guys were taking. Of course, I look at it all. Dude, Kingston looked fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought he looked really good at the All American Bowl, and he's continuing that just a couple months later. Now, just a quick note on the whole Rover thing. Like, we talked about that position so much, late in the Brian Kelly era here in South
Mhm.
Bend, but that was because Jeremiah Usu-Koromoa was he could cover, so you just didn't need to take him off the field. It's tough for most linebackers to be able to stay with slots. Wrapping up with the secondary, Ben Morrison, really, as a starting cornerback, I am shocked, absolutely shocked. Field, you got Mickey or Gray. That's one of the bigger battles right now on the team. Slot corner, of course. This is a position that is in there. If they're not in base, Jordan Clark, Micah Bell, a couple names there. Of course, we expect Clark is the like for like replacement for Harper, and then strong safety. Adon Schuler, Ben Minnick there with Rod Hurd arriving this summer. And then, shocker to see Xavier Watts as well.
Yeah, I think the back end is a little deeper than we give it credit for, especially at safety. We know that these corners are really good. Like, you make the Ben Morrison joke. Jaden Mickey in that same class has played a lot of football over the last 2 seasons. Christian Gray is a year younger, but looks like he could be the starter. I have him at number one. Well, I guess I had Mickey because Christian Gray was actually held out of most of the competitive period, so we saw a lot of Mickey. But when those two guys are healthy, I don't know. There's just something about Christian Gray's game that I think translates to starter status, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter who Notre Dame picks there. I think they're in good hands, and then like you said, they're in good hands with Xavier Watts as well. So I think I made this point. I don't know if it was in that article or another article. Most teams are just longing for one dominant defensive back, whether it's a corner or a safety. You're like, okay, we have that guy. He's going to help us out back there. Notre Dame has Ben Morrison and Xavier Watts. Last year they had Cam Hart as well. Like if
Yeah.
Christian Gray is who I think he is, this secondary is very talented, Mike.
Yeah. Gray was running like a 4-4, like legit
And he
4-4 ish.
freaky plays. But Ben Morrison, like he made that freaky, you've probably seen it on Notre Dame
Yeah.
social, the one-handed interception. Like Christian Gray does that type of stuff too. And if you have that on both sides of your defense, holy moly.
Yeah, I think Gray's upside is up there with like Cam Hart. Like Cam Hart's such a big riser right now because of his measurables.
Mhm.
Christian Gray has that too. He's not as tall as Cam Hart, but Christian Gray is a freak. Yeah, again, even if the 4-4 is hand timed, like if you're running like even a 4-6 going in your junior year of high school, that's crazy. He's only gotten faster. Christian Gray is a really impressive prospect. So that's kind of the rundown of the offense and defense in the depth chart that these guys saw from practice last week. Obviously, it's just one practice. There are things that will change moving forward, but that's the rundown of how the both sides of the ball lined up last Thursday. Appreciate you all for watching this video. Hit the thumbs up on it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, we will catch you next time.